Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. Now, before we start, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to checking this out. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow, it helps a lot, and again, thank you. Have an incredible day or evening, depending where you are, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the epic, the badass, the super Ali. Ali, how are you today?
Hi, that's amazing. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, what better way to have an epic day than to be talking with someone as epic as you? You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, I'm so flattered. Well, thanks. Happy
Absolutely,
to be here.
absolutely. Now, for those who don't know who is the incredible, super amazing, badass, epic Ali, please tell us who you are.
I'm Ali Axelrad. I'm an actor. I started on stage and now I do more film and television. I occasionally write some essays. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. Now, let's go back in time and tell me
Okay.
where the journey began. Like what triggered it?
Well, I was 4 years old and visiting my aunt over Thanksgiving on the East Coast.
Okay.
I'm from California originally, and my aunt surprised me and my mom with tickets to see Beauty and the Beast on Broadway. And my mom was so angry. She was like, "You can't take a 4-year-old to the theater. This is such a waste of money." But we went, and I some of my first memories. I still can picture the stage. I was completely transfixed. I walked out into my first snowfall, and I turned to my mother and I said, "I want to do that." And that was the beginning. Yeah.
There you go. Epic start.
Yeah. I started doing I was a painfully shy child, but I really was interested in this idea of being another character.
Hmm.
And I guess my preschool teacher told my mom about a children's theater across the street. And so I auditioned for The Wizard of Oz, and that was the beginning of it all. Yeah.
I love it. That's really cool.
Hmm.
Amazing. And tell me what were some of the so you started with your acting career, but tell me
Hmm.
what were some of the challenges that you had when you were recently making those like those first steps, let's say.
Those first steps. Well, it's interesting because I didn't have stage parents or anything like that, but I did have supportive parents. And from children's theater, it pretty seamlessly moved into professional regional theater around Southern California. Um, and then I was at the Orange County High School of the Arts for junior high and part of high school. And that year happened to the musical theater program got taken over by Susan Egan, who was that original Belle in Beauty and the Beast that I saw all those years ago. I guess not that many years ago at that point. I was 12, but it felt like a lifetime.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and we all had to audition for her, and she saw something in me and asked me who my agent was, and I said, "Oh, I don't have one." And she said, "Which one's your mom?" And she asked my mom, and my mom said, "Oh, agents are scams. My parents are not in the business at all and definitely didn't understand it." And she ended up introducing me to her manager, who became my manager for more than a decade, and changed everything for me. So in the beginning, I didn't have as many difficulties. Things kind of came together just because I wasn't even seeking it. And it was more later on as I transitioned from playing children or really just like taking ownership as an adult in the industry that more things came up and more, I'd get more in my head and nervous about things. But the beginning was actually like the easiest part for me. I
There
don't
you
know
go.
if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it does. And also when back when you're little, I mean, you don't like what I'm trying to say here is that like back when you're little, you don't I mean, you don't have like a lot of fears, you know what I mean? I mean, you are
Right.
more to explore it, see what happens, but the more you start to get older, then you like new fears and things like that start to pop up. But the fact that you since little continuing on it and followed it, because like sometimes like when you're a kid, you're exploring something, but then perhaps because you're a kid, you're gonna find something else to get your mind distracted and move to the next thing and move to the next one. But the fact that you continue like on that road, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There was nothing else. It was just at that point it was strictly musical theater. It changed as I aged. That's sort of where I explored other things, but it was still under that very specific pocket of storytelling and acting right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving on here, tell me like how you prepare a character. Like what is your initial approach before starting diving into this character creation process?
Always with the text. I think that it applies to everything, but coming from that theater background, just text and analyzing and looking at the why, and then from there it depends on the character. Like I Music really affects me, so something that I've found has really helped me for a lot of really getting in a headspace is I create like a playlist that character would listen to. I don't even necessarily have to like those songs, but the character would. um Things like that. And I like a lot of external things at that point too. I think wardrobe really affects me, things like
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a whole other process besides just learning your lines, you know.
Yes. I'm fortunate that I have a pretty quick memory, so the lines are usually not the hump, and then it's just everything else. I did the Diary of Anne Frank when I was 14,
Wow.
and I was young to be leading a show like that, but I had a wonderful director and people who really took me seriously, and all while equally giving me the comfort and guidance that I needed. And she just said something about how, like, I'm not Anne Frank, I'm Anne Frank in through the lens of Allie. And that just, it's so simple, but it really has stuck with me. So any of these characters, just finding, where what in me is the same as in them.
Totally.
And that, yeah.
Totally. And like, has it ever happened to you that there was this character that was complicated for you to prepare it?
Hmm. I think often, I think there's this, I feel like so often I'm either auditioning for roles that are so similar to me or completely different. But if they're completely different, then I just look to other people in my life. Recently I auditioned for a character that was nothing like me, but my goodness, did she remind me of my mom? And
Mm.
and that was the way in. So I usually just think of, as far as that challenge is more of an exciting, how do I find this? And looking at it through that curiosity instead.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can understand that. Now, let's say that that one day you get the chance to play this role that you have, like, yeah, like this role that you have dreamed with. Like, what are some of your dream roles, basically?
Dream roles. Well, I love Chekhov. Chekhov is my favorite thing. I've been fortunate enough to play Nina in The Seagull, and I would love to do that show again. But anything Chekhov, and then because I'm a Broadway baby, musical theater, I love Sally Bowles in Cabaret and Louise in Gypsy. Those are two of, I just think those are awesome female leads that I would love to dive into.
There you go. There you go. Now, what has been some of the worst auditions you ever had?
Oh, oh my gosh, so many. Um, One that comes to mind is kind of it's double-sided because it is absolutely the worst that I've done in an audition, but there was a positive outcome. And it's part of why I really miss going in the room, and it's something that's lost in self-tapes. But it was this week and I was so busy, and I was just very fortunate to have, I was in a show and I had so many auditions and callbacks. And one of these auditions was for a really big musical that was on tour. It was a really exciting idea, but the role seemed not so right for me.
Mm.
And I just put my focus elsewhere. And I went in and I really bombed. I knew the song a bit, but I didn't do it. I'm usually so prepared, right? And the casting director just stopped me and she said, okay, you obviously need to learn this song better, but I find you completely enchanting. And I'm going to bring you to callbacks tomorrow, but you need to learn the material. Here, let's just sit and play. And she just read the lines with me, and it became just this like fun thing. And I think that sometimes we can get so, preparation is important, but sometimes we get so in our head about it being perfect that we miss that thing that makes us special or is human. And it happened to just come out that day. So I was horrible, but it still worked out. I don't know.
I love it. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I love it. Now,
Yeah.
let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, a little bit of backstory I have to your experience. So, based on what you know, what advice would you think that it worked for me before starting this new career?
obviously it's different for everyone, and there's so many different entryways and paths. But um, I think watching anything you can, absorbing as much TV or film or theater if that's available. Because for me, there's no way that I've learned better than watching either other people that I'm working with or just out the hours and hours I've spent in a theater seat. And then from there, finding a class, finding a community of your own, whether that is community theater or school theater, whatever that is. Just and enjoying falling in love. The more you fall in love with it, the better you will be.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. I'll make sure that if I ever become an actor and once I get my Oscar for Best Actor, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech. Count on it. I love it. Now, let's say that one day, Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, you name it, they call you and they tell you that they have this idea, which goes that all of the characters you have played at the moment, they're gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. So how would you call that film?
Wow, that's a fascinating film. Um, I have had the privilege of playing a lot of young Jewish women. So I think it would be, and a lot of them not even women, children. So I would say it would be called like the bat mitzvah because it would be all of them gathering together
Interesting.
probably. Yeah.
What about describing your whole career, but on a drink? How would you call it, and what that drink would have?
Mm. It would it would be shaken, not stirred. But something that's like sweet and sour because it certainly has not always been easy, but I mean, it has had so many beautiful rewards. Maybe like a cosmopolitan because that's like New York and it has
Okay.
that yeah, it's got that citrus in it, but it's sweet and it's pretty to look at. Yeah. Yeah, cosmopolitan.
Okay. Okay.
Shaken.
Fancy, fresh. I like it. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, what motivates you? We all have those days, right? That we just
Mhm.
want to quit.
Sure.
Regardless of things. I mean, sometimes things are even okay, but we get this bug in our head that is telling us that we are wasting our time. Anyway, so how you manage to silence all of those toxic voices and be back on this road that you have built for so many years now?
Totally. I love the work. There's nothing that brings me more joy than diving into a script or more importantly, like going the rehearsal process with people and performing. So like even on when I'm frustrated, then I get like an audition with some character that I totally fall in love with or a script that just makes me laugh. I think about there's that musical chorus line, which is all these auditioning dancers for a Broadway show, and one of the characters, Cassie, has this song, the music in the mirrors, and she says, help me wake up in the morning to find I have somewhere exciting to go, and just because she's just living for those rehearsals and shows, and I so get that. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Then my last question. What
Okay.
can we expect from Ali in the future?
Can we expect? Well, I think if I've learned anything, it's that anything I think is what's next is never what it is.
Absolutely.
Um, but I love theater and I really love period pieces on camera, and I've been fortunate enough to do a few of those. So my great hope would to be in more of those, I would say. Yeah.
There you go.
But who knows? It could be anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Like sometimes it's better. I mean, it happens, right? That whenever you are planning a lot of things, sometimes none of them
Yes.
happens, and sometimes when you don't expect anything, then great things have start to happen like out of nowhere. So
Yeah, I spent like almost 10 years in New York thinking I was this very serious actor, just this dramatic actress. And when I moved to LA, everyone was like, "Oh, you're funny. That's who you are." And it's like I have no idea. I'll let other people decide, and I'll just do what I can.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And yeah, I mean, at the end, what can I say? Your career, it's pretty cool, and also the fact that you have done so many, yeah, that you have accomplished so many things. I mean, besides showing us that, of course, I mean, besides giving us epic content, you're also showing us that dreams can come true. Which I do think that sometimes, because of this whole idea, right, that we are already kind of used to get things super fast. The work process tends to be like a little bit discouraged, but it is a
Yeah.
process. But the fact that you have worked on that step by step to build into something that is really cool. It's amazing, and I'm super sure that our next conversation would be about the thousands upon thousands of projects that you have been involved with. Because I mean, you're super talented, but also you're doing it because you like it. And as simple and cliche that it may sound, we all know that sometimes it's a kick in the butt for you to discover what really makes you happy. You know.
Totally. Yeah. And thank you for that. Yeah, nothing, it's not a linear business and that can be really frustrating, but then when it does work out, it's the best feeling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, again, here, Ali, keep inspiring, keep being this incredible, super amazing person you are. I also want to thank those who are watching this. Thank you so much. If you're either listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, well, this episode is about to be over. So, in the description below, there's the link to Ali's Instagram. So, follow her. Yeah, let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Ali. She's incredible. And again, Ali, thank you so much for making this happen. Have an incredible upcoming weekend.
Thank
Keep
you.
creating, keep inspiring, and I'll see
And
you in the
thank
next
you
one.
for doing what you do. Yes, thank you so much.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
So have a good one.